Welcome back. And for me, it's half day. Has been almost 12 hours, 12 to go, but the most exciting part is coming. So you realize that today we had lots of interesting conversation about seaweed biomaterial, and there's an exceptional panel today to give you a glimpse of what is the diversity in seaweed biomaterial. So we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to jump immediately into a first round of presentation. And I'm going to go around the clock if you don't mind. So I'm going to start with Neha, who's in India. And Neha, you have exactly 3 minutes to tell us what you're doing, who you are, and what will be the vision for the company. Zerocircle. You go.
Thanks, Pierre. Thanks for inviting me to the session. Really honored to be part of this vibrant seaweed community. I'm Neha. I'm founder of Zerocircle. We make ocean-safe packaging from locally farmed seaweed. We're a relatively young organization based in India that was founded in the middle of the pandemic. Our products are wildlife safe, marine safe, and home compostable. In the last 2 years, we've created 3 kinds of product lines. The first product line is a flexible film, which can be used as a pouch, as a wrapper, as a sachet for food and non-food applications. The second product that we create out of seaweed is a water-resistant and grease-proof laminate. And the third one that we're very excited about is a seaweed-derived glue, which has strength, which is higher than bio-based adhesives. We validated our application with several companies, including a global food leader, and we're scaling up our production volumes of all the 3 product lines to a pre-commercial level this July. So fingers crossed. And our products can be produced in existing manufacturing lines, so it'll be licensable as well. We use all kinds of seaweeds, red, brown, and green, because I think there's magic in every kind of seaweed, and there's a lot to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. Very, very sharp. And I'm going to save you this time for more questions. So the next in line, and we're going to go from India to Switzerland, because you're now in Switzerland. So it's Guy. Guy, it's up to you. 3 minutes.
Yes, hello, Pierre. Thank you, Neha, everyone. I think we're going to repeat the same over and over, so I will try to go very fast. So we're all working on the biopolymer, that's clear. So I'm the CEO of Bzeos. So we are based in actually Norway, Switzerland, and Spain, where we have our lab and also our pilot infrastructure. So as many know, we are one of the first actually in the seaweed packaging that has been there. So for the past years, we've been actually working on this new polymer formulation, and especially using biopolymer from coming from seaweeds. And also because we believe in sustainability and we are conscious about the requirement of volume, we've been working very hard on developing biomaterial from sustainable cultivated seaweed. So we have actually one of the first projects worldwide, and it's called the Plastici. I invite you to go there. So our main goal is really to use farmed seaweed packaging, and that's in the food industry, and not only for the sake of replacing plastic, but for the right application that makes sense. I think we've been talking about that earlier today, that it needs to bring something. And for us, it's to the food product. Still, we can use our various formulations that can be applied to other products. And we have been developing our technology to manufacture flexible film. That's our most advanced product for several applications at pilot scale. And that has been with food industrial partners. Yeah, that's it.
Loud and clear. Thank you, Guy. The next one is newcomer, a young startup, Carlo. Can you explain who you are, where you're based, what you do, and what you expect to do?
Yes, of course. Hi, Pierre. Hi, everyone. So my name is Carlo, CEO and co-founder of Flexi. We are based in London in the UK, and we develop formulations for biomaterials derived from sustainably farmed red seaweed that can replace single-use flexible plastic packaging in both food and non-food applications. So as you said, we are relatively young. So the project has existed now for just over 2 years, company about a year old, but we're trying to go as fast as possible. And We're currently in the laboratory with some advanced prototypes, and we plan to hopefully be commercially viable by the end of next year. We have already letters of intent signed up, and we plan to grow sort of our audience and our reach, and plan different verticals for different applications within seaweed, which is a material that we know has so much potential, and we're here to show that.
Thank you, Carlo. The next in line is Ayca, that you all know already, but Ayca, the floor is yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Pierre. My name is Ayca. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Solublue. It's really nice to meeting you all today. It's a great opportunity to be able to talk about this common grounds that we share with all together, which is using seaweed, making polymers from that. Our company is based in Cambridge. We have a lab space in here, and we are working on the manufacturing side and the licensing model with our products. In general, our materials are basically not chemically modified natural polymers, and we are making flexible films with it. At the same time, we can make structural containers. One of the benefits of our material is that it extends shelf life of food. So we are specifically focusing on food applications because, I'm sure you all know there's this benefits of using it. And when the food expires, that everything goes into compost, and food waste is a huge benefit that we see when we talk to customers. But of course, there's also areas that we are focusing on in textile, which one of our co-founder, Francis, was talking in the earlier sessions with the green fashion session. And of course, with the cosmetics area that we are very excited to move into as well.
Excellent. So Pierre has been excused, he's flying to Israel. And the next one is also a young company. She's amazing. She's in the north. She's in Iceland, a beautiful country. Julie, tell us what you do and what is your vision?
Thank you, Pierre, for that kind introduction. And yes, I'm very cold every single day. My name is Encausse. I'm the founder of Marea. We're a small and very young, as Pierre said, we're actually a 1.5-year-old here in Iceland. And just like all of you, we're very busy and motivated to bring alternative bioplastic packaging solutions to market. So our core goal has been to make sure that we help companies and businesses, particularly in the food sector where the need is most dire, to deliver their products with better, more sustainable and biodegradable packaging alternatives to their customers. And so we have a great advantage in Iceland because here seaweed is virtually an untapped resource, and seaweed cultivation is absolutely open and up for grabs. We happen to be in a country where there is just so much to do, and that is not always the case. And so delivering ocean-safe bioplastic films, which is where our main focus is, and that's contributing to reducing the overwhelming use of petroleum-based single-use plastics is what's at the order of the day for us. And so even if we're based in Iceland, we are making sure that we're working towards a global technical solution that has ramifications beyond Iceland. I come from a business and marketing background, but several crash chemistry and biotechnology lessons later, and namely in the lab, I feel that we are, and particularly myself, I feel very privileged to lead the startup and to be able to create tangible products that stand as a real alternative solution for packaging. And that is truly amazing too and humbling.
I forgot to mention that last year, we were working on a challenge with Capgemini, which is a large company, and they wanted to explain to their staff around the world the interest of seaweed. And both Neha and Julie were part of the challenge. And I think, that was a good start, for people, to start to understand and look into seaweed. But we'll come back into that later. The next in line, Geoff, Geoffrey, sargassum is an issue. Carbonwave, because you used to be called Sea Combinator and now it's Carbonwave, has been, around for almost 3-4 years. Can you tell us more about your vision, your strategy, and what you're doing and where you're aiming?
Thanks, Pierre, and thanks, everyone. I'm glad you think we're that far along. We're 2 years old and just getting to 2.5. We're excited to be perceived as being further along. So thank you for that. We're excited. So yes, sargassum is the largest seaweed bloom on the planet. It's been around for a while, but it's getting worse and worse due to warming oceans and increasing nitrogen and phosphorus coming out of the Amazon basin. You see where it starts igniting the bloom and it floats to the west. And the Caribbean spends hundreds of millions of dollars just moving it from the beach to a landfill where it rots and turns to methane, or off gas as methane. And so we found a way during COVID, we found a way to turn this it's a very difficult seaweed to deal with. The traditional methods of alginate and long polymer extraction do not work on sargassum. So we figured out a way to do that. We filed that IP. And we're turning into 3 products right now, which is first is a biostimulant, which is a liquid biostimulant to help plant roots be more efficient. We can increase crop yields, protect against drought, and increase the commercial grade quality of the food that is sprayed with this biostimulant liquid. The second product is an emulsifier in cosmetics. So many of you know, but this is something that bonds oil and water and is used in every cosmetic, lotion, cream, shampoo, etc. in the world. And so we're the first seaweed-based emulsifier in the world. We launched in Paris at the cosmetics show, and we're really pleased with the reception so far. And we're having over 100 meetings with some of the biggest players in the world on that. We're working towards a bio leather later this year. We're very close to launching a bio-based leather that has many of the characteristics that we want in leather: no plastics, no harmful chemicals, etc. And then there are a couple of bigger use cases we're looking at. We're looking at biofuels, but plastics is a big one for us. So plastics, we're doing 2 things. We're looking at one of the largest cosmetics companies in the world. We're looking at doing bio oil from the sargassum to be in their plastic conditioner and shampoo bottles, and working with them in sort of a joint venture. And then we're pleased that it's public now, but we won the SPRIND challenge, which is a carbon to value challenge. So we're working with co-applied with Seafield's group and with BASF to look at making plastics out of ethanol with BASF. And then lastly, we're looking at, we don't know if this will work, but we might be able to 3D print a bunch of objects, all kinds of objects like faucets and sinks and other products for the hotel region and beyond from sargassum. So when you dry it and mill it, turns out you can use it in 3D printing applications. So we're working on that, but we're excited about the plastics piece of all this, and so excited to talk to all of you because we've got 20 to 30 million tons that's floating here, and we think we have many applications for it, particularly in the plastic space. So excited to continue the conversation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Geoffrey. And there's a common language that we need you to use. So we try to ban plastic from our current language, and we're going to talk about seaweed polymers, because we want to be differentiated, from the plastic industry. So I totally understand, and it's by way of using the word, we totally understand where you're going. But for us, the philosophy is really to make a difference with the existing silos. We're not plastic, we're not bioplastic, we are seaweed polymers, seaweed biomaterial. Saying that, we stay in California. And Julia. Well, we all know you as well, but it's up to you. Tell us, what is your vision and why we're here.
Sure thing. Hi, everyone. I'm Julia Marsh. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Sway, based in California. I'll give a little bit of context about my background. I'm a designer. I spent about 10 years building brand and packaging systems for CPGs and design studios and technology companies. So really pretty intimately aware of the challenges that brands face when they're trying to transition away from plastics. And so from the outset, Sway has really been envisioned as a design-driven materials science company where we're marrying the scientific and creative potential of new materials. And of course, these new materials need to have the capacity to really restore and replenish the planet. So to do this, my team works with the most beautiful regenerative marine material, which we're all very familiar with. Sway targets the most difficult plastics to replace, so flexible, thin film packaging ranging from poly garment bags to food packaging. The composition of our material is inspired by nature. So we utilize naturally abundant polymers like everyone else here found within various types of seaweed. And then we use those, optimize them, and scale solutions inspired by what nature's already provided us. Our compositions and formulations demonstrate pretty great versatility. So we're seeing great mechanical properties that come directly from the seaweed, including really high tensile strength, heat sealability, shelf stability, transparency. Our materials are 100% home compostable, biodegradable, non-toxic, and they're designed to decompose rapidly to create healthier soil at the end of their life. So in this way, we're not just diverting nature-bound plastic pollution, but also further protecting land and ocean ecosystems. And that really is the biggest, motivator at our company, is working with ocean farms to maximize environmental benefits offered by cultivated seaweeds, and then also working to ensure that the seaweed industry's growth from all of the players you see here and more really directly benefit the social and ecological stakeholders throughout the supply chain, throughout the value chain. So we're actively engaging in the development of best practices and regional strategies to maximize positive ecological outcomes and mitigate any potential risks as we scale. Big priority. We're also young. We're currently at the stage where we're scaling up with industrial scale plastic manufacturers and also testing our materials with third-party certification bodies. So you can expect to see Sway materials publicly early next year. Thank you.
Really cool. Thank you, Julia. Last but not least, C. Do I need to introduce you? You go.
Hi, Pierre. Hi, everyone. Wow, this is so cool. It's the first time we're all meeting together as just one group of seaweed entrepreneurs. So it's so wonderful to meet you all today. As you know, I'm C. Briganti, and I'm the co-founder and chief executive officer of Loliware. Our mission is to advance the planet towards a plastic-free future. And the next generation of Loliware is here, but it's been quite a journey. After experiencing challenges scaling a new seaweed material with our first product, a drinking cup made from seaweed back in 2014, we had a key realization. And that is that food technology is not particularly well suited for mass production at a competitive price point. To effectively address the plastics crisis, we needed to design for scale. So this realization gave rise to the next generation of Loliware. So after several years of R&D, perseverance, and collaboration, we've achieved what was previously thought to be impossible: a seaweed-derived thermoplastic pellet that can be mass manufactured on existing plastic equipment. We call this new pellet C technology. It's not named after me, actually. It stands for seaweed-derived, emissions-avoiding alternatives to plastic. And it's the first ever seaweed-based pellet that's poised to replace plastic at scale. Our multi-patent pending seaweed pellets can be processed into any type of packaging using the same equipment that makes traditional petroleum-based plastics. So excitedly, we are now partnered with a USA-based 80-year-old women-owned plastics manufacturer in the Midwest. They are now our partner to produce our second commercialized product, an award-winning drinking straw. We now have throughput of 130 million units per year per line, which doesn't sound like a lot when you look at the demand for our product in the 8 billion range. So we have a lot of work to do. But excitedly, we already have 12 customers in the wild that are already swapping plastic for seaweed straws. And we believe now is the time to swap plastic for seaweed. Climate change and plastic pollution are the defining issues of our time, ruinous to planetary and human health. And it's going to take a global effort and all of us to change the course. And we all have a part to play. Loliware's culture is rooted in collaboration, but it's also rooted in authenticity, inclusivity, and courageousness. And we must collaborate together versus compete to address the massive urgent crisis before us. And that's why I'm so thrilled to co-announce with BioMarine and Sway and Solublue here at Seaweed Around the Clock that we are all formalizing to support the adoption of seaweed materials, to support legislation that allows seaweed materials to be successful, and we're going to be creating tools to educate and increase adoption. So today, the Seaweed Materials Consortium working title is born, and we look forward to collaborating with all of you towards this very important future for Mother Earth. Thank you.
That's a cool invitation. And I will jump back on this in a few seconds. The most important part, and I apologize because this is only a small windows of all the key players working in the shadow on developing a seaweed biomaterial. And to that extent, I send an invitation to all of them to join us and to participate, to the initial workshop where we're going to start, to put the basis of this future council of seaweed biomaterial. But the real issue that we need to sort is how we're going to source the seaweed, how we're going to work, to build a unique and innovative policy, how we're going to work with EU, with US, with different, governments and regulations that are already in place. We want to fight, for a natural seaweed polymer. We want to fight, for a bright future. We don't think that there will be an immediate switch, but the most important part is to participate to the transition, and this transition is on the go. And we had Encausse on a previous session with Ayca talking about food packaging. It's really up to now to us to make the difference and prove that we can deliver this polymer. I clearly ask, Encausse if he can see, the volume and the expansion of the industry in the next 5 years. He said, yes, but you need to make the proof of concept. So I know that you all of you around, this screen have already, some very good polymers, some product. The rest, is to get together. We have enough grounds. There's no competition. We want, to participate in the development of this seaweed bioplastic. And I will find a date. I will send you many possibilities, and we'll have, this initial workshop. So let me go back, to another set of questions, because I think it's really important now to better understand what could be the common vision. And I will ask you maybe to answer this, maybe not in the same order, but feel free, to tell me who would like, to pick up, the first question. So in terms of future vision, if there was one requirement for coming up all together, in this new council, what do we want to achieve as the first objective? What is the main important objective we would like, to achieve being together? We would like, to start with this one. Guy.
Yeah, I was trying to find this mute. Yeah, I think like in general, like in Bzeos, we really believe in cooperation. I've been talking with most of you actually in the past years to try to get a common grant. It's always complicated because it's always come from the perspective of the competition, but and we all want to protect our innovation. That makes sense. But there's so many, as you mentioned, Pierre, so many aspects that are as related to legislation, regulation, that is clearly a path for cooperation, I think. And that will help us to solve common problem, to gain visibility, but also to avoid the waste of money for similar studies. We need money, and we don't need to consume the money for the same thing over and over. So that's why Bzeos has committed to share this year our result that is regarding the single-use plastic directive. That's more for Europe and actually for India now, the food migration and the end of life as well. And also we will share our LCA results that will be published, but when all the data has been collected. You know that this takes years before you can actually get a proper LCA. So, but one thing that I really want to say, or two things actually, it's really that we need to be one voice competing against the current market. We don't have to compete all the time. The competitors actually are more the current market, because they produce something that is not aligned with our sustainability value. The one that we all carry. So, and more than that, we have to distinguish ourselves and present the benefit that we can actually bring in certain application, because it is really clear that we are not competing against conventional plastic. That's a mistake to believe that. And really finally, and I think that's the most important, is disrupting the market. The current market is not easy because of, first of all, the packaging industry is super well established. The supply chain are extremely complex, and we all went there, but with a converter, also the retailer, I mean, it's very complex. And without mentioning also the complexity of matching industrial minimum requirement. So I would think that sharing also experience with corporates without disclosing any confidential information would be actually a good way as well to proceed in this new seaweed packaging cluster. And because we all want to order, at least in Bzeos, to succeed, and I think that's the same in the seaweed packaging, and to make really a real positive impact for the planet, because this is really in our DNA, and this is our first KPI. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. It's very understandable, and I like this idea. Julie, from your perspective, living on an island in the north, what would be the catch for you to join such a partnership and to build, the future vision of seaweed polymer?
Yes, several things that really resonated with me from what Guy was saying, and I completely agree. Just there's one single thing where I maybe differ a little bit, and it's that, I mean, for sure, you very elegantly phrased it here, that we are to some extent competing with each other. But I think it's just so much smarter at this point in time where we're at, given that we're at the threshold of this transition, the threshold of this change. I think we're much better off collaborating, and maybe 10, 15, 20 years from now, when we're all very established companies, we can get busy at bickering amongst ourselves. But there's just so much to do and so much to make sure that we impact the value chain in a positive way. As I don't know if you've noticed, but at least from some of the benchmarking I've been doing, the pricing of algal polysaccharides has already gone up. That might be due because of the increased demand for seaweed bioplastics. It might be due to other reasons. There's enough happening in the world, of course. So just the point I'm trying to make is that to some extent, of course, plastic is the common competitor that we have, and that's where we should rally forces. Not all plastic, of course, just the single-use petroleum-based applications that can very easily be replaced by seaweed polymers. And I use this opportunity to congratulate Sea on the amazing achievement of having actually developed and getting pellets to market. It's a huge achievement. So again, congratulations. And I think it goes to show that it can be done. And so, but if I take the fishing sector here in Iceland, which is actually the leading industry, not all plastic is meant to be replaced. Not all applications of plastic are suitable. And I think that's where we all come in with our different visions, our different approaches, and can add value to that. When you have, fishing crates for fishing vessels that, PE plastic has home there, that's where, it's suitable. And so it's just making sure that we're tapping into the right applications, for sure.
Thank you, Julie. And Neha, what will be your vision, for participating to this new council?
I think it's important to understand what makes a good material, right? I think a lot of us end up spending a lot of time explaining why seaweed is different from the bioplastics, right? I think that's one of the biggest confusion around the world in terms of adoption. I think another big issue is the abundant availability of seaweed, which is sustainably grown. And there are two reasons for that. Speaking of the first thing that he spoke of, which was an LCA. When you look at imports of seaweed from one part of the world to another, and you compare it with bioplastics, carbon footprint can rise dramatically, right? Apart from the sustainability attached to it. And the second part is that if there is monoculture that is happening even in the ocean when it's been cultivated, it can also cause issues. If the same species is grown over and over again, we're also creating that problem of monoculture. Another is that when we're creating food contact applications, it's important to have seaweed available, which is of great quality and is not grown in waters, which is, we're not really sure about the quality of those materials. So traceability becomes important, right? And there are factors that we have to understand, that plastics is consumed all over the world. And the products, because of globalization, are moving from, I mean, in no order, from Asia to Europe and back to Asia for treatment, right? So the packaging that we're doing probably starts somewhere in developing countries. It could start in anywhere in the world for sure, but it moves around a lot. So regulation in terms of even the plastic that we're manufacturing may not be just applicable in the country of consumption. It needs to be standardized in every part of the country, every part of the world. So these are standardizations that we struggle with. Europe is pushing for recycling. India and Asia are open to compostability, but they don't understand the problem of compostability when it comes to industrial compostability. India, for example, does not have a single industrial compostable unit, right? And they're giving out certifications, right? So, and that's the case with a lot of those countries. So we need to sort of understand the problem in the sector, a lot of legislation and the policy changes. So I think by coming together, we can really push on the policy making around all these factors.
Thank you, Neha. Very good points, and I take good notes of that. And yeah, I totally agree. We need to think global but act local. Carlo, as a newcomer in the industry, what is your vision? What do you want to achieve?
Yes, I just want to build on what Guy said, that really the competitors are people who are producing plastic today, all us developing those new biomaterials. You have to realize that even though there's a few of us, there's not 100 of us. And even if there were, the world market for plastic is so big. Look at the global market share of companies like Amcor, or even the Barrys, the Totals, the Shells. We could all become huge companies and still be very successful and all be working towards the same goal, which at the end of the day is increase sustainability, increase the sort of respect we have for the environment through our actions and through our consumption. And also building what has already been said is that even though we all work towards a material which can be similar, I mean, we all work towards, for example, some form of film or semi-rigid or whatever, there's so many different plastics out there today. And even within those types of plastics, there's so many different varieties and little variations of the same plastic. Like just for polypropylene, there's many different actual tweaks for it to be able to be adaptable to different applications. That you have to understand that there's not one material fit all. And it's not like that for plastic, and it won't be like that for those seaweed biomaterials that we're working on today and the ones that we'll be working on tomorrow. Everyone has their own application, and we have to find our own niche to be able to do so effectively. We will never have the same material that, for example, as Julie said, for crates, some materials you want them to last. And that's why in some cases, plastic might be desirable. I mean, plastic's main feature, its best aspect is the fact that it is so durable. And that's also its worst aspect. We've never really understood the material, in my opinion. If you're using the material that lasts 1,000 years to wrap something that lasts a week or two, you're obviously using it wrong. You're not using it to its full potential. So we shouldn't demonize plastic. Rather, we should understand where it can be used and where there's a better alternative, and we're developing those better alternatives, then try and use those alternatives. And I think that bringing together all us as actors in a council, trying to bring ideas to, for example, governmental level, where we can actually have an impact on this sort of compostability laws, trying to shed the light on recycling and how there are perhaps better alternatives for some applications is very important, because masses make the strength at the end of the day. And I also think it's important for a council to facilitate development around seaweed biomaterials by bringing forward opportunity for example, laboratory operations or funding. Again, funding that can come from grants from governments to recognize the opportunity and what we're trying to do.
Excellent. This is perfectly in line. And I just want to recall that some of the large cluster were funded, by the European Commission at the beginning. Now they are managing billions in EU project money. So I think that with the competencies that I see around the screen, plus the one that I know that are not on the screen today, we can achieve much more. Now I'm going to give the floor to Geoffrey. Geoffrey, what will be for you, the vision, and why it would be so important for you to be part of this council?
Look, I'm really thrilled, so thank you. I think I see four main areas and a little bit of overlap with what's been said, of course, but really we're, in a way, many of us are focused on our local seaweed, right? So we know what can be done with that seaweed. But I think there's a tremendous amount of learning between all the people in this room about what could be done. Well, actually with your seaweed, for example, I could do this and you could license my technology, right? So I think that kind of sharing of knowledge, we have indications that our technology could be applied to others. I think to other seaweeds. I think all of us in this room have certain technologies and application processes that could be greatly benefited by moving from maybe one species and license it to another. Like Neha said, licensing could be key and could really strengthen the whole sector amongst ourselves. I think the advocacy part is huge. I think we're up against a massive industry, of course, and everything we can do to bond together and to fight for legislation, fight for change is important. And then together, the third one is together as a group, the advocacy work that we can do. I mean, the creative minds around this table that are 10 times as creative as I am would be really helpful to create awareness, and not just in the Instagram world for a niche market, but how do we really start to broaden the understanding that that seaweed is a real alternative to everything else that is harmful. Now is the time, and we need all of our minds together to figure out how we break through and say, let's stop using plastics and let's move to these seaweed polymers so that we can actually make a difference. But the awareness, the creativity, the breakthrough moments are only going to happen with us collaborating, not with us focusing on our own seaweeds. So I hope to do that with everyone.
Thank you, Geoffrey. Just want to say a quick thank you, Thomas. I know that you're watching the show. Thomas is the CEO of Karoon, the amazing eyewear that is growing very fast and is a pioneer in regenerative seaweed aquaculture. He wants to empower the local population to collect, the debris, from the net, from the fishing area, and also to grow seaweed to reduce damage of salmon aquaculture and convert that into bioplastic for the eyewear. So we count on you, Thomas, to join that as a key member, to buy into the bioplastic the biomaterial that we're going to develop in the future. So now I'm going to give the floor to C. We're going to see you, for 1 hour almost, in 4 hours from now. We're going to learn more about Loliware, but can you tell us why, we started, to discuss initially with Julia, with Ayca, and many of you, because I want to recall also that Guy was the first one to refer to this association long time ago. So why the Seaweed Council?
I think everyone here has made a lot of great points for why this is necessary. Personally, I'm just so inspired to learn about what everyone's working on. I mean, Geoff, I had no idea all the different sectors you're after, and Neha with your glue. I think that it's really important to understand what we're all working on, how we can share resources, how we can advance this really important new future for the planet. And the only way we're going to do it is if we work together. So this old paradigm that's, based in the VC world and capitalism certainly has its place, but we cannot continue to think this way when we are tackling climate change, when we're addressing such a massive issue. We have to collaborate, and I believe it's the only way. So I'm excited to put forth this idea for everyone, and it's not Loliware's idea. It's also been thought about previously, Pierre, as you mentioned, with Guy and with Julia from Sway, Ayca. So we've all, I'm sure, been thinking about doing this. Now is the time. I think it's an urgent time. We really need to work together. The question is how to move forward, and I'm looking forward to everyone's insights on how to do that. I think the first thing would be to name the organization, to align on timing and goals, and then to start really meeting together on a quarterly, whatever we decide basis, to see, hey, who needs help with this challenge? How can we support each other? Because we started this journey of Loliware almost 10 years ago. And I believe if we would have had a strong community around us of other entrepreneurs working on similar materials, or, even working in adjacent spaces, we may have been farther along. So how can we advance everyone here that's maybe in the early phases to get there faster than Loliware did?
Excellency, and I look forward to seeing you again, in the next session on straws and Loliware. Veronique just confirmed me that she has found a slot with our partner VFair to organize the initial workshop. So we're going to have a slot of 3 hours. We need to find the date. We need to find the time, and we're going to start, to invite all the key players. I think that in a first step, we're going to keep, to the seaweed biomaterial producers or manufacturers, and we will be able to extend the scope, to partners in the producing sector, such as Amcor or Nestle, the different type of people. But to start with, we need you to get together. So, Veronique, we count on you, to fix, the time slot, and we're going to start, sharing some ideas about, the possibilities. Ayca, you're next. Well, I've been working with you for quite a long time. I know what we want to achieve as a global vision, in terms of seaweed polymer. What is the catch for you also to get into this council?
Thanks, Pierre. I agree. All of you, you raised really good points around what your company stands for and your understanding of sustainability goals, and for us. And I just think that in general, what everyone seems to say aligns with what we are thinking as Solublue, which is the sustainability aspect. Seems to be the key, maybe, to think about what we are making as materials. And I'm sure, all of our materials will differ in their own way. It's been raised a couple of times that I just wanted to highlight that it might be a good idea to separate it to single-use applications to multi-use applications, because for single-use applications, we all know that almost 50% of ocean plastic problems comes from the single-use applications that doesn't biodegrade fast enough, especially not being natural polymers, that creating big natural disaster in land, degrading our soil health, but also ocean health as well. And multi-use, it could be made out of, seaweed-derived, seaweed-based materials. That doesn't have to be natural polymers from our perspective, because the sustainability aspect of them is that it depends on the longevity. So, if you are making a shampoo bottle, or I don't know, any type of product that depends on multi-use, and then in terms of sustainability, it makes sense that that material is durable and lasts very long, and at the end of its life, hopefully it's compostable, because there is, as far as we know, that this bio-based, it's really difficult to recycle or mix with petrol-based materials and so on. So I think it will be good to, and I'm looking forward to having that workshop, discussing with you in details what is the best direction that we should go. But I feel like having this initial conversation with all of us, it feels like that thinking about our sustainability goals seems to be the key to address our goals about this consortium together. And I just fully agree what Neha said, that all the countries that we live have kind of different legislation, different requirements. There are a lot of terminologies that are getting mixed up by many people. So it will be really great that if we will come up with our sustainability goals as leaders in this space, so that it will be almost like future-proof, that whatever terminology changes, we'll still achieve the environmental goals that we all, the reasons that we started our companies together.
Before I give the floor to Julia, I will ask you to work on your marketing skills. There will be one round, last round, around the screen, and I want you to give me one word to synthesize the seaweed polymer vision that you want to bring forward. So you have, let's say, one and a half minutes before Julia ends, his speech. and you're going to give me the word. Okay, so think about this. And Julia, it's up to you now.
Okay, thanks, Pierre. I would echo a lot of the sentiment that's been shared here. I think the scale and the urgency of the challenges ahead of us are so vast that there's certainly quite a lot that we can unify around. And, you know, kind of jumping off of Ayca's point, something that we've observed in conversations with brands, and I'm sure all of you have as well, is that it's not enough that the material just replaces plastic. I think that brands and plastic manufacturers are really eagerly seeking solutions that help to address or align with multiple sustainable development goals. And I think that's why seaweed is so nicely positioned to succeed, because we're not just alleviating pollution and encouraging responsible consumption, but we're also actively contributing to healthy oceans and healthy life on land. So I think that that kind of, you know, aligning around the education piece to get brands and plastic manufacturers to really understand that potential impact to not just address the plastic problem, but also larger climate challenges. And then providing resources, kind of to Geoff's point around, you know, really empowering the public to understand the different types of biomaterials out there and why seaweed is distinguished. And then aligning internally to see how we can support and kind of unblock aspects of the infrastructure that I'm sure we're all confronted with, whether that's seaweed processing or whether it's related to production. I think there's just so many opportunities for us to align around enablers for seaweed materials to really succeed and thrive at scale. So I know that's broad and kind of just is repeating what everyone else said, but I'm so excited about the potential here.
Cool. Okay, so it's time to conclude. So I'm going to start with Carlo. What is your word? You're on mute.
I would say harness.
Cool. Julia?
Oh, probably urgency.
Okay. C.
I just ruined that in the chat. I was trying to document everyone's. Is someone writing this down? Can someone write? Helen, can you write this down for us? All these cool words. Okay, so what do we have so far? We have harness. What was the second one?
Urgency.
Urgency.
Urgency from Julia. Okay, mine's paradigm shifting.
Okay. Neha.
Give me a moment. I'm just on it. Sorry. I've just had a little bit of a cough attack. Just give me a moment.
Okay. So Ayca.
Natural.
Julie.
Creativity.
Geoff.
Evolutionary.
Guy.
It's mine. Revolution. Seaweed revolution, I think.
Neha.
Circularity.
Excellent. Very creative. This is very cool. So my commitment is that after the workshop, if we succeed, you know, bringing together everybody, my objective is to organize the first physical workshop in Monaco during the Ocean Week next year, and to invite President of Monaco to open, you know, the session. The challenge is on, but I'm pretty sure I will succeed. Okay. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for this inspiring view. I look forward to continuing, you know, the discussion. We're going to move to Greenland. So, you know, Julie, you're not the only one in the middle of the Northern Atlantic. We're going to visit your friends in Greenland. There's a great potential. And then after, we're going to continue and talk about agriculture. And we're going to move into the Sargassum. In 4 hours from now, so see, you have plenty of time to get your coffee. We're going to go back into Loliware. And hopefully, in 8 hours, we're going to be in Tahiti and Hawaii. And I'm going to go to sleep. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Pierre.
Really
Thanks,
enjoying
everyone.
this session.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.